So yeah, welcome to another episode of the Decogged podcast. Today, so last week we talked about how to protect yourself as an artist with bad commissions. Today we're going to be talking about how do you tell whether an NFT community is good, and what are the things to look for as an NFT artist. What do you look for in an NFT community?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the first thing, I think we should say is why even look for an NFT community, right? As
That's
an
true.
artist,
yeah.
Because I think it all comes back to how we were approaching NFT space at the start, and I think we made some good decisions, I'd say, at the very beginning in terms of picking an NFT community to be a part of. But I think the reason you want to be a part of an NFT community is if you're making NFT art, is you have the support of the community, and I think that's really a big leg up in terms of not just getting exposure, getting marketing yourself, getting eyeballs on your work, as well as possibly even finding some people in the community who's willing to buy your artwork. So I think that's a good reason why you'd want to find an NFT community, or even being in multiple communities, because I think right now we're in a whole different bunch, and I think we could see, based on all the different communities we're in, which ones seem to be stronger, what types of communities this particular project is, how the people behave in those different communities. So I think that's an important reason. But
because I think people don't realize that I guess all these communities have sort of a different mission statement sort of thing, where some are really focused on the art, or some are more focused on the art, some are focused more on maybe flipping, some are more focused on maybe charity, stuff like that, in real life sort of events, and all of them have a sense of this, but of course every community is maybe leaning on different communities lean on one thing more than the other. I guess it's for an artist, it's a great way to really, if you want to make this a full, you want to quit your job, for example, and do art full time, this is being in NFT communities can really sort of help that, to get people's eyes on your work, like you said earlier. So there's definitely benefits to getting into these communities, but just like everything, there's advantages and there's the disadvantages of doing it.
I mean, if you find the wrong community, I mean that's an obvious disadvantage, because you just spent money, and you're probably not gonna really find what you're looking for in a particular community if it's not the right fit. So I think it's important to, before you ape into a project, to really take the time to join their Discord, listen to the Twitter spaces that they have on, just kind of peruse Twitter and just try to follow people who are in those communities and see what they're talking about, what they tweet about. And then also I think most importantly is just have a look through how supportive the community is for the artists. So I think a good example is I always come back to Alien Friends as being a good community, because it's a very passionate community in terms of people in the project really want to help support each other, but at the same time they have an art channel inside of the community, and there's a lot of fan art being made around the Alien Friends project. And that's kind of how I got my my first start, I think, in NFT space, is posting these 3D Alien Friend, it's almost like fan art, but for people in the community. And I think the response was really positive.
Definitely.
And even Alien Friends, the project itself, helped retweet me and get a lot of eyeballs on the work. So I think that was a big reason why I even had any followers to begin with. Yeah, so that's a good example of a good community. And like people that are in the community, they don't, they even though a lot of them are degens and they're just here to like buy and flip and do all that kind of stuff. At the same time, all the people who hold alien friends don't really intend to like sell their alien friend. They just wanted to be a part of this community. And the mission statement of Alien Friends is like trying to build like the biggest network of friends in the metaverse. And I think they've really tried to stick to that mission. Like that's the kind of vibes that they're trying to give.
I mean, Alien Friends, like, there's so many other people that are also doing like artwork for them, and we met a few along the way, which is awesome. And that's considered, like you said, like a good community. But there's like other communities that you need to be aware of where people aren't exactly supportive. They're very like toxic, very negative. I experienced that this morning, where it was like in one of the projects, people just like keep spreading, I wouldn't say false rumors, but definitely like spreading FUD to people. And I'm not saying that they don't have a basis for it, but that's one of those signs where you're just like, man, like if a lot of people are so negative, why do you even want to be a part of this community, let alone like do art?
Exactly. So how can you like how can you feel like you want to support this community when like the community itself is so negative and toxic? Like you won't even feel inspired to make the art to begin with.
But like I guess earlier you said before you ape in, like you said that people, how do you say it? How I forgot exactly the words you used. But
I'm pretty sure that's what I said, like before you ape in.
But so for people that aren't in communities, like I feel like they might think that you need to buy an NFT in order to be a part of this, like these communities, when really you can just join their Discord chat and really just before you buy, like you buying an NFT doesn't mean, like, I mean, you not having an NFT doesn't mean you're not, how you say it, in the thick of things with the community. You can like still do art for them, and then maybe you like win a giveaway or like an art contest, then they might like you might win an NFT from them, right? So can you explain a little bit, I guess, more about like that side?
I think like most projects actually have like a set number of NFTs that they can give away throughout the course of time, in order to help foster like a good community, foster like a good group of people and try to entice people to come in to the project, and even just to reward people who have supported the project through like the times. So it's entirely possible where they would just hand out an NFT to you just because they want you as part of that project. I mean, it's not a guarantee either, so I don't think that's like an expectation that anyone should have. But it's definitely a possibility. But like you mentioned, you don't need to own an NFT from that project in order to be a part of the community. And I think it's one of the coolest things I've seen is how supportive some communities are for people who don't even own that particular project. Like they don't own anything in there, but because that person has been a part of the community for so long and have met like all the people who sort of run the project and just made really good friends in the community. It's almost like they value that more than you just buying a project and holding it. So a great example is like Crypto Maurice, which is another project, which is like got a really great community, like very positive. It's founded by an artist as well, so I think that immediately already kind of gives it a certain vibe because that founder's an artist. Like they're really pro artist and pro art, I think. And just like the bunch of people that have joined that particular community are like very positive, very like inclusive and nice people, just like really good vibes. So I've seen that project actually support people who aren't in the project at all who don't have the money to buy into the project, but have always stuck around the community and interacted and just made friends there.
I mean, I would say the same for like with Fan Gang, where there's this person specifically. There's this one time when we were on Spaces. This person has been in the Discord community for like a long time, but I think he didn't have enough. Like, I think he was still a kid. He didn't have like enough liquidity to buy like a Fan Gang, and or he was too scared to pull the plug because he didn't have enough money. But anyway, he was like, throughout these past few months, he's always like been a part of the community, talking to everybody, meeting everybody, and just being like really like a positive, I guess, influence in the community. And I think during the Spaces, people finally recognize that because he's been consistent with it, and he's been, definitely providing more value to everybody, and not taking anything really. And they offered him on the spot, like, because they had a few spares in the community. They gifted him like a pixel fan, and then that was his first NFT, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty great.
And I think they're not worth nothing either. Like those pixel fangs, like it's almost like somebody giving you like $100 just like out of nowhere, which is pretty cool. It's sort of like, hey, like we like that you've been like so positive and good and receptive to the rest of the community, even though you don't own one of these. We just want to make you part of this community. So these communities are kind of like clubs. You can think of it like it's like a club. And sometimes some of these communities can feel like an exclusive club where it's like, hey, you don't own one of these, so you're not really us. But there are others that are really inclusive and want like a lot of people to be around, even if they don't own one of the NFTs. It's kind of like, we don't care. Like, we just want you as a human.
If you're a positive person, like, the good to everybody, like, why not, right? And that's that's personally what I feel like these communities should be, instead of like trying to make it all like exclusive and
and I think the important thing to note is like I've seen some of these communities, these good ones, actually help support other artists or other projects that have come out. So an artist that I met in the Twitter space, we've both met him now, but like he's been kind of doing these 3D versions of projects as well, and then he put up some artwork on sale, and then because we've been talking on Twitter and whatnot, we kind of became friends. So I was like, hey, I'm gonna buy his artwork. It wasn't that expensive, and I wanted to support the guy because I liked what he was doing. So I bought an artwork, and I noticed that the next day, like the founder of Alien Friends actually bought the pair. Like, it was a small collection of artwork, and I bought one and he bought the other one. So I was like, wow, like you could see that these people are like actually, like, these founders are actually there helping support other artists. It's not just all for show, and they are there out helping out people. So even if it's just like retweeting somebody just to get more eyeballs on their art, I think that goes a long way.
I think that's very nice for founders to do that, because that's really giving back, not giving back, but like they have the ability to sort of support up and coming artists, and I think that's great. But there's also, like everything, there's also the other side where it's like I don't think like so many people do that, so many founders do that, and the fact that Mason, like the founder of Alien Friends, does that, Fan Gang, like Crypto Iwan, I think, does that too. It's pretty great. I mean, well, that's why we're in these communities as well. Well, that's why so many people are in these communities. So we sort of talked about why you would think about being in a community. So what are some of the, I guess, the things? Like maybe a list of 5 things why, or 5 flags, would you call it flags?
I guess it's flags. Like 5 like checklists
of things to look for when you're joining a community. Go ahead.
So
what's the first one?
I think the first one I feel like should be the art, right? So if you don't like the art, you shouldn't join the project anyway, because you're joining for the wrong reasons if you don't like the artwork. But that being said, it's like not all artwork, you have to look at it very subjectively, I think, because artwork can sometimes objectively look bad, but subjectively could have like an appeal to them. So I think it took me a while to come around to liking Alien Friends, like how it looks. I just think in the beginning it just looked very simple and like anybody could do this. But I think over time, when I look at it more, it's like, oh, there's a style to it. It's got a charm, it's got an innocence, and it's not just because I'm in the project. I think as I've seen these profile pics show up on Twitter, it's very recognizable. So you can see straight away, like, oh, that's an Alien Friends profile pic. There's no mistaking it, and I think there's a design aspect that it's very hard to accomplish there. But yeah, like I think the artwork matters, so you have to like the art.
So this is like, I guess, a question for that I think a lot of in real life artists think about before they get into the NFT space. Like they look at let's say a Basie, right? And they're thinking, this art, like I can do this, right? Or it's not that special, right? What do you say to people like that? Like what's the appeal for them? Like why is this Basie NFT like actually way more valuable than they might think?
Well, I think it's not the art, like, first of all, like the art, when it comes to the value of a particular NFT, it's not always down to the art. Sometimes it is, if that's all it is. Like if that particular NFT, if it's nothing but the art, like a Beeple piece, for example. So for those who don't know Beeple, you should
take a look.
Hopefully everybody knows who Beeple is by now. But like Beeple is purely about the art, right? So I think for a Beeple piece, when you're buying it, buy it for the art. But when you're buying something like BC, you're buying into a club. You're buying into like a membership. And BC is like I guess it's probably the most exclusive membership in the whole NFT space. It's like you're joining the most exclusive, sometimes cliquish and elitist, but also I think they are they have one of the strongest communities, because the people that are in there are like big players.
They have ability to do stuff and move
exactly
things. Like,
they can do big things, right? Because they have like so many people in there that are big players, like Jimmy Fallon and Paris Hilton and Justin Bieber. So you have like these really, really big players in there who, like, if they wanted to support the community, they have the money, they have the connections, they have everything, right? So you're kind of buying into that membership, like that club. It's like, hey, if you buy a base seat, all of a sudden it's like, I'm in the same club as these people. And what's the price of that? Like, how do you put a price on that, right?
And it's sort of, I mean, this sort of leads me to like the second thing, that like a green flag or like a checklist, where it's like utility, which is a big part of it. And this is sort of like carrying on from what you're saying just now. Like, not every community is about just the art. If you have like these big players that can help with the project, that can influence something more than, like, when you're buying the art, there's something that also gives you something
attached
else,
to it. It's not like you have like like utility, I guess, is a saying. It's like you have more than just the art. There's something that this NFT enables you to do, or like gives you access to something that you wouldn't have otherwise had. So an example of like the Alien Friends utility is like they're doing a lot of real life events. I mean, a lot of other projects are, but there's these real life events that you can attend and meet like other people who own the project. And that's something that's exclusive to people who own that project. But then there's also things like merch. That's a very common one these days. It's like they'll make merch of the project and then sell that, and only like people who own the project can buy the merch. So it's very like an exclusive thing. I think that exclusivity makes it attractive, but you also have to have a strong brand. It's kind of like it's like let's say like LV or something, or like DG. Like those things wouldn't mean anything without like the brand, right? So I think that's why like certain projects are really good, because they have a strong brand, and it means something. Like owning like an Alien Friends hoodie probably means a lot more than owning like some crappy projects hoodie that is gonna die out in like 2 weeks. And I think that's one aspect, is like that utility. But then the utility extends beyond just like real life stuff. It also kind of ties into this concept of like the metaverse. I think a lot of people are trying to get into the metaverse, because that's the next big thing, right? Everybody knows that. That's why Facebook went all in on metaverse, to the point where they changed the company name to Meta.
That's so freaking sneaky.
It's very sneaky and very clever, but also I think anyone that spends any time doing research into metaverse realize that Facebook's metaverse is probably not the one that people want.
I mean, it defeats the whole purpose of the whole concept, right? Of like decentralization.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna move this.
Yeah, that's all right. Oh, just chuck it down.
I've been like looking at Billy through
we've been looking
like
at
I'm in like a fencing, like a fencing thing. And okay.
So, like Web3, this concept of Web3, it's kind of this overarching term that encompasses the future of the web, right? So that one aspect is NFTs, and another aspect is metaverse. And I think the ethos of Web3 has always been, and I think for people that are active in the space, will always be decentralization, and giving the participants the power. It's like empowering the people who use the platforms and use the products, which is the opposite of what's happening in Web 2. We're using Facebook, but are we really using Facebook, or are they using us? So I think that concept, everybody kind of has that feeling now, where it's like, oh, I'm just giving up my data, I'm giving up my rights potentially, or I'm giving up my attention to these corporations. And it can sound like very like conspiracy theorist or whatever, but everybody, I feel like, knows this at this point, where it's like, it's a transaction when we use an application. We're giving up something in exchange for something else. But I think Web3 is like kind of spinning that on its head, where it's like enabling people
to control control the outcome. And I mean, I think everybody has that sort of belief some way or another in this day and age, even with government. Like, I'm pretty sure like everybody has experienced it. People are just like, they're not sure who to trust right now. But anyway, we're not going to go into politics.
We're not going to get too deep into Web3, but like I think
but
one aspect of utility in Web3 is the metaverse, and I think that's what a lot of NFT projects are trying to go towards, because that's the new way to interact in the future.
Dude, I'm more excited about that than anything, to be honest. Like, I mean, I feel like we're going to go into that space too. Like, but it's like the whole idea of just being in that virtual world. And I think it's going to enable creatives like us, like indie creatives, but also like big players. Like, everybody's going to want to get in, and I think the pie's big enough for everybody. Especially in the early days. But I feel like the limit is your imagination, really. Because man, I mean, I'm sure like everybody, like probably some people have modded games and done that stuff before, like before. That's like the dream.
But now it's like you can make that a living sort of thing. And,
it's pretty cool.
But we should get into that in another episode. And maybe even bring somebody who's a secret guest who's building in the metaverse
that doesn't want to be doxxed. But so utility is a second thing. What a third point is, I think we briefly mentioned it earlier, which is the community engagement and frequency and quality. So you want a Discord community to be well, yeah, you want the Discord channels in your community to be, you know, constantly popping, like as in like there's constantly people people talking to each other, being like, you know, saying good morning, asking how everybody is, you know, talking about random stuff. You want all that. You want that constant chatter.
You want that real like high activity.
Exactly.
Because that's a sign of a healthy community. Because people
people
are putting their attention there. That's important as well for an artist if you want to get attention, and have people see your work. Is like, you need to put it somewhere where the attention is, right? So that's what I do a lot of the times when I make something and I post it out. The first thing I do, like once I post, is I go to Discord, to that particular community, and I post it in the art channel. You know, so I mean that's another thing you want to look out for, I think, is you know, as part of the community, is you want to look for something that has that art channel, you know, where there's like people posting art. You don't want a channel where it's dead and it's just you posting art, because that means nobody's gonna see it, right?
I actually haven't seen a community without an art channel, but how constant it is, it's different.
It varies. But yeah, that's sort of the first thing I do. I go in Discord, I retweet. Well, I post my tweet in the Discord. And I go in multiple channels sometimes. So sometimes I put in the art channel, and then I'll go to the next channel, which is like the slow-mo channel. Which, you know, it kind of slows people down. It won't let you post in Discord too much, just to keep the text like a little bit more manageable.
Because sometimes it just goes.
Sometimes you post something and it's gone within seconds, right? But I'll go to the slow-mo channel and I'll post it in there, and then I'll go to like the regular channel and I'll post it in there. Because there's different speeds going on. I think the art channel is generally the slowest because not a lot of people post, but you know it's going to live there for a long time. So whoever does go there is probably going to see it. There'll probably be artists too. So I think you're getting the right eyeballs.
Exactly. And I think having that like frequency is a healthy sign, and also of course the quality that we talked about earlier. You don't want people being like negative and you don't want to
trying
to instill fear into everybody, how this project, like for their own personal motives, you don't know, like
you want like a supportive community.
Exactly.
So when you do put your stuff up, you know, everyone's going to help engage and retweet it and like your post and help support you as an artist. And I think that's important. And you know, it's kind of like this symbiotic relationship, because if you make art that's that's for the community, it benefits the community, and people want to support you because you're helping them out in a way, because you're propping up the project. Exactly. So it's like a symbiotic relationship in that respect. But you know, it can easily turn into you don't want it to turn into this thing where you're just doing community art and you lose the reason why you came into the space. But we can talk about that.
I mean, you don't want it to feel like one-sided, like any relationship.
Exactly. So there's that, you know, but I think it's up to you to manage that balance.
Exactly. I think that's just a little bit of social awareness as well. Like, But so that's the third point. Fourth, I guess you can talk more about this price action.
So I mean, this is more like a theory than anything, but like it's based on what I've noticed, I guess, is like the price of a project actually affects it somehow affects how the project I guess is going, you know, like it affects the trajectory of the project, because if the price affects the community, then you know it can easily go south if like the price drops a lot of the project. And by price I mean the floor price, so that the cheapest for like NFT in that project that you can buy is the floor price. So if the floor price drops a lot, and the community reacts very negatively to that, that's a sign that that's not the strongest community, you know. You want a community like which almost doesn't care about the price, like it's irrelevant to the community. It's like they want to be there for not the price, because they're not there just to like buy and flip and and do all that sort of stuff. They're there for like the right reasons. So I think it's probably actually a good time to look into projects when the price is really down, just to see what the reaction of the community is, and if anyone's even talking about it. Maybe if nobody's talking about the price, then it's like, well, this sounds like a good community. Maybe I should join it.
like a lot of people, you'll be surprised at how many, like in these communities, people talk about what's the floor price, what's the floor price,
yeah,
what's the floor price. And then that's when, people aren't really in this for the right reasons. Like if they really believe in a project, if you believed in like anything, like you believe in, I don't know, I can't even think of an analogy right now, but you just wouldn't like, you wouldn't just flip it so easily. Like a Kickstarter campaign, you'd be like fully invested into it, see it to the end, or see what value they're going to create, because these things take time. These projects take time to sort of come to fruition. It's
essentially like a startup company, like when if you buy an NFT in one of these projects, you're essentially investing in a startup. And it's not just like it's almost like you're investing in a startup brand, because they're trying to build a brand, they're trying to build an IP, and you're saying like, I believe in your vision for this IP, for this brand, and I want to be a part of it. And that's why I think, I think that brings us, I guess, to the last point. The final point.
Go ahead.
Which is the roadmap, I think. So the roadmap is kind of the vision of the project. And like where the founders want to take that project. And just like any company you invest in, you want to know their vision. You want to know like what they're trying to do to get to the end goal, what they're going to do along the way, how they're going to do it. And if you like what you see, then maybe it's not such a bad idea to put your money in. But at the same time, it's like you have to be realistic too, because like this is a vision. It's not realistic to get every single thing ticked like perfectly,
and at the stated time as well. Like I mean, like yesterday Billy introduced us to like a new project, and I looked at the roadmap, and I rarely feel this way about roadmaps in general. I feel like they're all the same, or they hide a bit too much, or they overpromise a bit too much. You just have a feeling with these things, right? But with this one, it was like perfectly laid out, and when I was looking at it, I was like, oh yeah, these all make sense. Maybe because we were in 3D animation. This was like a 3D, sort of like a 3D, like becoming a 3D animation project.
It's like a 2D project that has ambitions for 3D.
And watching it, I was like looking at it, and I was like, oh yeah, this is great. This totally makes sense to me. I would totally like buy in. This seems like all the right steps. Right. And we did this morning. But I also was in another project where, in some ways I do believe in them because they're fully doxed, this team. But at the same time, they were sort of hiding a lot behind the veil. These things, they didn't want to overpromise, but at the same time, you need to be able to convey to your investors that, a little bit more, so they know what they're buying. Or what they're investing in. You can't just say like, we don't want to overpromise, like, these things will, like, some things will come without anything really tangible. And that's really, that's a scary thing for an investor.
And then I think so with these projects, I guess there's almost like there's a few different types of people that kind of buy into them, but like almost universally amongst all different ones, everybody sort of sees it as some form of investment. I think you'd be lying if you say you buy something in like an NFT space if it wasn't some sort of investment. Unless it's like pure art. If it's not a collection, if it's not a project, like one of these projects, then you might be buying it purely for the art's sake, which we have done as well.
Actually yesterday too.
Yesterday too. We found an artist who's amazing, and we're like, we have to.
So good.
We gotta get in.
I'm not gonna even mention it because I'm like, I still need like 12 hours to get the auction over.
We're still waiting for the auction to finish. But it'll probably be finished by the time this is out. But nonetheless, that's a different reason to buy something, right? Because you like it. Purely for the sake of the art. But I think almost universally, anyone that's buying these projects, these PFP projects, they're buying it because of the idea of an investment in the brand itself. So it's almost like, well, if you could buy Nike like from day one, how how cool would that be, you know? Like before, like Jordan was on board and all these people, right? So it's like you're getting in from the ground in this IP, which if it succeeds, it could become like a household name in pop culture or whatever. So I think that's kind of the allure of these NFT projects. And if you don't have like a solid roadmap, then it's almost like you're just taking people's money for no reason. You know, you're not planning to deliver anything like on your vision. You just want to, you're almost treating it like art, whereas it's not art, you know. Whereas if it's art, you know, then it's like a one of one piece or a small collection where someone sat down and very specifically tailored each piece, you know, to the point where they're happy with it, right? But these are like generative collections where it's like you just make a bunch of traits and you just generate like a random thing. And I mean, there's an art component to it, which is like the first thing, the first point, the first checkbox, right? So the art component does matter, but it's not the main, it's not the only thing.
Well, I think that's what a lot of people who aren't in the NFT space is a bit confused when they see like a photo of like an ape. They're like, man, I can draw this. Like, man, like, you know,
I think we've all, we've all thought that. In fact, that's when we first got in NFTs, we thought like, oh, I can do better than this.
But then you realize really quickly after, when you get like, just spend a few days on Twitter and in these communities, then you realize that this is not so much about like, well, at least in the NFT space in ETH, right? It's not just about art. It's if anything, it's not. It's more like building. It's a brand company more than anything.
It's like a brand slash tech company. At the same time.
Which is very So.
And that's something we mentioned before. It's like the symbiosis between the artist and the developer. I don't think I've ever seen such a relationship like that outside of like the NFT space.
I mean, we did mention that like yesterday when we were just chatting away at lunch, that maybe gaming is sort of like that. But if you think about it, gaming, if anything, is just a subset of well, like, nowadays, subset of whatever this tech thing is.
This tech movement. It's like this tech / art movement in the NFT world, right? Because it's not entirely art and it's not entirely tech. They both are like equally weighted. Like you want the technology to be innovative, but you want the art to be good. So it's like, how do you fuse art and tech together in a way that's symbiotic and
that provides real value to people across multiple ways.
Right? So exactly. And I think that's why metaverse makes so much sense, because it's like the art in metaverse matters. If your avatar doesn't look good, and why walk around in it, right? You want the art to be good, but you also want the tech to be good. So maybe like how you integrate the NFT into the metaverse, like the tech behind it, like how well can the developer, the development team in the project actually execute on that integration. And you know, there's a lot of like very complicated tech behind, you know, how all this works. Like you not only need like web knowledge, but you need like blockchain knowledge. Probably need like game development knowledge at some point. It's like you got to tie all these things together, and that's why the relationship is so symbiotic for NFTs. And I think that's what people miss when they first look at it. They just see the art and they're like, that art's not like it's not like 100%. But at the same time, it's like some of these projects, it's very difficult to do. Like if you try and make 10,000 profile pictures, you know, that are unique. Like try to do that. Like try to sit down and do that, and you'll realize how much work that actually is. You know, you can randomize and generate and all this sort of stuff, but then it's like, how do you mint all these? You know, how do you get this to market? You know, how do you make it so that it's like decentralized? If you wanted to build a DAO, which is a decentralized autonomous organization, like how do you set that up? You need like some sort of tokenomic structure. So there's so much more to it than just the art.
Well, and that's you know, I think a lot of people, when they first see Basie and stuff, they think this is like just a one-off piece, like of just a monkey and someone's selling it and they're getting a lot of money, right? When really it's just part of a collection of items. So let's not even like talk about the community and the utility. That's just like a little small fragment, like 1 out of 10,000 of the like the whole art piece.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like the one of ones that we talk about. Like usually for the one of ones, you do see it like a much higher quality, much like polished,
much more polished look.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it's almost like a totally different like game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think in that respect, if you look at it through that lens, you can start to see the difference. And I mean, I want to stress that like there is a distinction between like one of one art, like as in an artist who comes into the space wanting to just make art and no utility or anything like that, just like purely art. And that is a whole different topic. I think we can probably spend another few podcasts talking about one of one art. But
so I guess this one would be more about PFP.
Yeah, this one's definitely more like PFP collections / communities.
Yeah.
Because if you're a one of one artist, you can't necessarily build an entire community around you. You know? Like it doesn't really exist, right? These large communities only exist because of these 10K collections. There's like 10,000 pieces, right? So it's almost like thinking about like, imagine trying to get 10,000 people into a room and make that like the coolest room, the coolest club ever. That's kind of the goal of a lot of these projects. So
which is totally different from one of ones. You know, you can still build a small community, but that's more like a, you know, they're supporting you as an artist.
Exactly. It's almost like a community of like patrons or something.
Just
you know?
fans.
Yeah, fans. Whereas these projects, it's like a community of like investors, a community of friends, a community of like people who are there to support one another, but also like people who are there to like try to make, you know, connections and collaborate. And it's like very different than a one of one artist.
I mean, they expect like, I think people expect a lot more in return in communities, as in, you know, that you're doing something that's gonna help their investment, right? Whilst one of ones are, people just expect, oh, it's good art, I'm gonna pay for this art, and it's very simple in that sense.
It's very like it's very I guess one directional, right? It's like it's very transactional. It's like I'm just paying for this one good, and that's why I own this good forever now, and that's it. That's the end of the transaction. Whereas like buying a collection is like buying a stock or like a share in something.
And I think you know, it's I mean, it's both good in their own ways. You know, I think it's very, it's cool to, I can see the, like, I definitely see the appeal of like, you know, investing in a community and see what they bring to the table, because it's bigger than art. It's bigger than it's a bit of tech, it's a bit of like in real life stuff, it's a bit of everything, and you just don't know, it's almost like you don't know where it's gonna go, but you trust these people to like, you know, carry out the vision, and hopefully you're part of that ride, you know, which is very, like, to me that's very exhilarating to see, especially if it's people you trust and you know that, you know, they seem like talented founders, you know. So
I think and I guess to tie this all back to the art, like if you're an artist and you wanted to come into NFTs, like that, those are the two roads that you can go down. I think so you can be part of a collection project. You know, that means you need to team up with a bunch of people. You can't just do it on your own. So you probably need to find people who are who can do like either the tech side or the web development side, like those sorts of things, the community side. You need to find a team and put it together and execute on that vision, much like you would if you're trying to build a brand from the ground up. Whereas the other road you can go down is to be a one-of-one artist, where you just release artwork and it's purely about the art, and it's
like you're a freelancer, really.
It's like it's like you're it's kind of like you're an artist trying to sell your artwork in a like museum or something, or
that's very, actually, if you think about it, that's very cool. That's like the modern way of the artiste, you know.
Exactly. It's the modern starving artist.
Except you're earning a lot of money. No one's starving.
I think nobody's starving, and it's not as exclusive as the art world is. I think it comes down to there's a different skill set that you need to have when you're one of one artist. And I think maybe at some point there's a happy medium between the two. So that's something that I think Yeah, might be an interesting thing to
investigate.
Yeah, to investigate.
I wonder who would do that.
Yeah, I wonder who would try something like this.
But yeah, I think it's good that people don't have to die in order for their artwork to be valuable now.
yeah, that's so true.
Back in the day, it's just like, the death.
It was worthless until you died. You probably had the purest of artists at that point because they were just doing it purely for the art. It's time. It's time for my art to be worth something.
But so those are some of the things that I guess we noticed when we were joining these communities, and definitely something that we would advise people to sort of look out for as well, because these are like, these are important things. Like, you don't want to get yourself in situations where you start joining in a community and then you ape in, and then you realize
this is a bad community.
And I mean, I know people who've done it, like people that I know personally have done this, and you just feel bad for your friends. You can't help but make fun of them in the process, but like, you just feel bad that people invested some time and money in it. And
I mean, I know certainly I've joined a few communities which I would consider not the strongest, but like it's all like it's all learning process, I think. So
for sure.
You get better at identifying these different things when you've been in there long enough, and you see like, oh, this project is very similar to this one. Like, they're just literally a carbon copy of the roadmap of the art and of everything, but they're just a not as good version. So I'm not gonna put any time into that. The bootleg version. There's so many of these projects.
I don't know how many monkeys I've seen in my life. Like, I used to love monkeys and apes, and now I actually, like, after being in the space, I'm so over them.
I was like, oh no, it's another ape project. Okay.
Thanks for ruining apes.
It's apes and I mean, it's pretty much just apes.
I'm surprised that, like, I mean, there's cat projects. But knowing like how popular cat videos are, I'm surprised there are not more cat videos.
I thought there would be a lot more cat projects. I'm surprised that apes of all projects.
Why apes?
Were the ones that.
So
you'd think there'd be like some cool like dragon project or something, but no, I guess not.
Thank God. If it was Dragon Project, I would be like, no, another like another Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings. I can't do it anymore. But anyways, that's all we got for this week. Hope you guys found this content useful, like the information today useful. If you like what you see, please comment or like and subscribe to our videos. And if you have anything you want to add or any questions you might have, you can put it in the comment section below. So until next week, peace. Thanks for watching or listening to our content. If you like what you saw, feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks again. Peace.